Hello everybody and welcome to the Matthew Street channel. I am your host Matthew Street and I really appreciate you being here. And folks, God bless Taylor Hawkins, who passed away earlier this year. I'm here to do a review, or just my thoughts I should say, about the concert that just happened today live on many different outlets. I happened to catch it on YouTube live. It was the Taylor Hawkins Tribute Concert put on today, September 3rd, 2022 by his bandmates Dave Grohl and the rest of the Foo Fighters, and it was held at Wembley Stadium in London, UK. There'll be another concert at the end of September in Los Angeles. I'm not sure who will be appearing at that one. I don't have my research on that. But I can tell you that the concert today did two things for me. One, it showed me the tremendous love for Taylor Hawkins by his family, his friends, his fellow musicians, his bandmates in the Foo Fighters, certainly Dave Grohl, who put this whole thing together, and the fans of the Foo Fighters. But it also showed me something else today, folks. It showed me that rock and roll may not quite be dead yet, as I had thought. Let's face it, folks. Music over the last 20 years or so, maybe since the turn of the century, it's really taken a turn for the worse. When I say that, I mean popular music, mainstream music, top 40 music. All you have to do is watch the Grammys over the last few years, watch the American Music Awards, watch the VMAs, the Video Music Awards put on by MTV, which happened recently. Just go to any top 40 station and listen what's on. Listen what the kids are listening to. Folks, it's not pretty. It's not a pretty picture, okay? Say whatever you want, it's not. And rock and roll, let's be honest, has been out of the mainstream for years. But boy, folks, tonight, what Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters did in honoring Taylor Hawkins, it replenished my soul, my rock and roll spirit. It got me pumped up again. This was the kind of event, what we saw today with the Taylor Hawkins Tribute Concert, an event that we haven't seen in a long time. You know, I'm talking go back to the Tammy Show, go back to the Monterey Pop Festival, Woodstock, George Harrison's concert for Bangladesh, Farm Aid, Live Aid in the mid-'80s. We haven't seen something like this in a long time, folks, where the spirit of rock and roll was put right in the forefront and we could see what truly good music can be. That's what we saw today. Forget the VMAs, forget the Grammys, forget the American Music Awards, forget The Voice, forget American Idol and all that BS, okay? I'm going to go through it a little bit with you, and I have really nothing bad to say here, folks. And a special surprise appearance at the end by Paul McCartney. Yes, folks, none other than Paul McCartney, and I will get to that. There was an opening montage. First, Dave Grohl comes out. He's pretty much the MC of the whole thing. They do an opening montage with photos of Taylor. The Foo Fighters come out with Dave as well, and they address the crowd. And the first act was fabulous. It was the Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl on drums, and the rest of the Foo Fighters. Liam Gallagher from Oasis, or formerly from Oasis, comes out, and he just kills it, folks. He kills it. He does Rock and Roll Star. He does Live Forever. Brought the house down. Absolutely wonderful. After that, Dave Chappelle comes out, does some introductions to that. And then we have Nile Rodgers, Queens of the Stone Age, Josh Homme, I believe. Jane's Addiction member Chris Chaney, who was a friend of Taylor Hawkins. Omar Akim, I may be pronouncing that wrong. He was David Bowie's drummer. And they did a few songs, which was very good. Rock and roll, R&B, that kind of stuff. Great stuff. And then we had two bands, one called Chevy Metal and the Coattail Riders. Justin Hawkins from The Darkness was with the Coattail Riders. And Chevy Metal did the Talking Heads' Psycho Killer. And then you had Justin Hawkins from The Darkness did a couple of songs. You had Thurston Moore in that band. You've all heard of Thurston Moore if you're into rock and roll. What I liked about during the entire show is one of the drum heads that was displayed prominently during the entire show had an image of Olivia Newton-John on the drum head. It actually almost got me choked up to see Olivia's picture during almost the whole concert there on that drum head. It was a pink set of drums, if I remember correctly, too. After that, Wolfgang Van Halen comes out. Oh, my goodness. With Dave Grohl on bass. And they do a song by Mammoth, I believe. It was a Wolfgang Van Halen song. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'm not sure. Again, I made my notes very quick. But what brought the house down was Justin Hawkins from The Darkness comes out on lead vocals with Dave Grohl on bass. And they do Hot for Teacher with Wolfgang Van Halen. And Wolfgang nails his dad's guitar parts. Absolutely great. Unbelievable. There was then always some, in between the different acts, it was like videotape messages in between. You had Elton John gave a message. I wrote down a few. I might be missing some. Stevie Nicks left a message. Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue. Chad from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Guns N' Roses left a message. You know, there were several people that did that in between, sent a video message. Then Dave Grohl's daughter, Violet Grohl, came out and did a couple of Jeff Buckley songs backed by Greg Kurstin, Chris Chaney, and Jason Faulkner, who is a big power pop guy and was a member of Jellyfish. That was fabulous for me to see Jason out there. And she did a good job. Dave's daughter, Violet, did a really good job. I was very surprised how much talent she has as a singer. Then I guess one of Taylor's favorite bands is the band Supergrass, which I like as well. If you've never heard of Supergrass, check them out. Awesome, awesome band. And they came out and did a couple of tracks, which was great. They rocked. Rock and roll. Like I said, folks, rock and roll was back today. Back. I loved it. Josh Homme comes out again from Queens of the Stone Age with Dave Grohl. And on bass, John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin. They do a couple of songs. Great stuff. But then I was so excited. After that, Dave Grohl comes out and introduces the Pretenders. Unbelievable. Chrissie Hynde and the Pretenders with good old Martin Chambers on drums. Dave Grohl filled in on, I think Dave was on bass for that. He might have been bass. Yeah, he was the bass guitarist with the Pretenders. For some reason, he was out there. But the Pretenders did a couple of great songs. They did Precious. They did Brass in Pocket and one other one. I didn't write it down. And then Dave comes out and introduces another one of Taylor's favorite bands who hasn't been around a long time, the James Gang. Reunion after 15 years. Joe Walsh and the James Gang come out with Dave Grohl on drums for one song and then the regular drummer on the others, and that brought the house down. Then we have Mark Ronson with Chris Chaney, Jason Faulkner. Violet Grohl came out and sang lead on that song called Valerie. You might remember the song Valerie that Amy Winehouse did, produced by Mark Ronson. It was a slower version, but it was good. We had some video of Taylor Hawkins playing the drums. Billie Eilish sent a video message. And then the Foo Fighters come back out, the whole band, the Foo Fighters, and they introduce Lars from Metallica on drums and Brian Johnson from AC/DC on vocals. They do Back in Black. Justin Hawkins from The Darkness comes out to assist on that one. And then they finished it out with Let There Be Rock, and they killed. It was great. If you've never heard Let There Be Rock by AC/DC, check it out. It's absolutely fabulous. Then another great rock and roll guest. You know, I keep saying rock and roll. Stuart Copeland from The Police comes out with the Foo Fighters, gets on those drums. You know Stuart. He's top-notch drummer. And they do one of the earliest Police songs called Next to You. Rocked. It absolutely killed. And then they did Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. Oh, my goodness. And the lead singer from Supergrass sang on that. He did the lead vocals, and it was magic. It was absolutely magic. Every little thing she does is magic. It was magic. And then it gets better and better, folks. Alex Lifeson and Geddy Lee from Rush come out. Dave Grohl gets on the drums in place of the late Neil Peart, may he rest in peace. And they did like 3 or 4 different songs. They did a couple of instrumentals, which I'm not the biggest Rush fan in the world. I do love their big hits and their album Moving Pictures and all that stuff. But they did Working Man with Grohl on drums. Then they did another third drum, an instrumental from Rush. But the big one I took note of was Working Man. And Rush, Geddy and Alex killed it with Dave on drums. It was beautiful. Then it gets better. Roger Taylor and Brian May from Queen come out. Roger Taylor's son, Rufus Tiger Taylor, who's also the drummer with The Darkness, gets on drums as well with his dad. And then you get the singer from the Struts. I can't think of his name. I apologize. I just came right down to do this video, folks. The lead singer from the Struts, who is absolutely fabulous, filled in for Freddie Mercury admirably, did a great job on We Will Rock You, the regular version, and then the real fast rockin' punkish version of We Will Rock You. Great. He leaves the stage, then Roger Taylor, with his son on drums. Roger gets off the drums and sings I'm in Love with My Car. Killed it. Absolutely beautiful. Fantastic. Justin Hawkins from The Darkness comes out on lead vocals, taking Freddie's spot, and does Under Pressure. Unbelievably great, folks. And then an artist by the name of Sam Ryder. I'm not too familiar with him. I think that's the way you pronounce it, Sam Ryder. Long hair and a beard. He came out, and his vocal chops were like vocals I've never heard before. They were so good. Somebody to Love brought the house down. Absolutely unbelievable. Folks, you got to check this special out. As I said, let me keep going though. I'm getting too excited here. Brian May does a solo Love of My Life with the audience assisting him. He comes front and center with his acoustic. Everyone lights up their phones. It's like lights up whole Wembley Stadium. And then Taylor Hawkins, they do a video montage of Taylor, which is absolutely beautiful. And then the Foo Fighters come out and do a set of 4 or 5 songs. They included Times Like These, Learn to Fly, The Best. They had a couple of guest drummers. They had this young girl. Her name is, I think, Mandy something. Mandy? Like a young teenager, preteen, who's a great drummer, I guess. And Dave Grohl had her sit on drums for one song. Then Rufus Tiger Taylor came out and did the bulk of the songs with the Foo Fighters. And I got to say, if you know Rufus Taylor, who's the drummer of The Darkness, Roger Taylor from Queen's son, when he's got long blonde hair similar to Taylor Hawkins, so when he was banging away on the Foo Fighter tracks, it hit me, folks. It hit me because he reminded me so much of Taylor Hawkins on the drums, just with his appearance, his blonde hair, and flailing on the drums. You got to see it, folks. It'll choke you up. If you're into that, the rock and roll like I am, it'll choke you up. And then, after that, Paul McCartney and Chrissie Hynde from the Pretenders come out with the Foo Fighters. And Paul seemed to get choked up at first when he was talking a little bit. I just sensed a little bit of emotion in Paul. And they did a duet, Chrissie Hynde and Paul McCartney, Oh Darling, Paul on bass. And Chrissie did the vocal parts. Paul did most of the chorus, the verses. Chrissie did the tougher part. She did the When You Need Me, all that stuff. Chrissie Hynde did the verse, the chorus parts of Oh Darling. I'm sorry, I'm just so excited about this show, folks. It was so good. And then Paul kills with Helter Skelter. He does Helter Skelter, Proud. We know about Paul's voice, but you know what? He did pretty good. So he does Helter Skelter. That brings the house down. And then at the end of the concert, Foo Fighters come out with Shane Hawkins, Taylor's son. He can't be more than just a young teenager. And they played Hero. Folks, I got to tell you, my eyes were welling up with tears. It was the most touching moment I've ever seen. One of the most in rock and roll history. Heart-wrenching to see this young teenage boy playing his heart out in his dad's place on Hero. Unbelievable, folks. And after that, Dave Grohl comes out alone with just his guitar and plays To a Darkened Stadium Everlong. Folks, please check out this concert. You'll love it. Thanks for being here. Love you.